What's going on, YouTube? I was about to pour something today and I figured, you know what? Let me go live and see if we can pull this off together. This was my first silver sandcast I ever attempted to make, and it went perfectly the first time. And I was like, man, I really thought this was going to be a lot harder. And so I found out very soon after that it was going to be a lot harder because I think I've attempted this at least 2 other times since that first attempt, and I haven't been able to get it right. So today I'm going to try to get it right again and see what happens. Try to hang out and see if anybody pops in. I don't usually go live on Saturdays for the most part, unless I do like a late night with Cap kind of thing, which I was thinking about doing later, but that'll be probably 10, 11 o'clock. I'm out back behind the shed. I have a feeling it's going to take a while for this to get out to anybody. But yeah, I'm going to melt down 2 ounces here. This piece is in between a ½ ounce and a full ounce. The first time I did it, but I added a little bit to the back of it to make it a little bit thicker, which should help the pour. So we'll see what happens. Serpent, what's going on? How you doing? Appreciate you stopping in, smashing the like for me. I was curious how long it was going to take if I started out behind the shed, how long it would take for it to get out to people. But yeah, this is going to be attempt number 4, I believe, at recreating my first silver sandcast I ever did. And it was the eagle. I didn't bring the eagle with me. You've probably seen it before though. I've showed it a few times. So this is what we're working with here. It's holding in its talons the what's it called? 1776, 1976, the bicentennial dates. Sorry, took me a minute there. But the back, if you notice the middle of the eagle, the back of it is where I take the sprue in. But I also, it used to kind of pop up a lot right there. So I flattened all that out with some glue. And I did end up putting 4 holes out the top so that it can breathe a little bit. And then I got all the other lines there so it can breathe too. So I'm hoping this attempt will work, but we'll have to see what happens. I'm gonna take this in a minute and put it in the oven, and then we'll get the furnace going. I don't plan on being on here too long, but I figured if I'm gonna do it, might as well try to do it live and see what happens. So yeah, this is getting melted. Chew, what's going on? I love Morgans, any kind of Morgan. This one, I didn't want to melt down, but the problem with this was it had some kind of like mark on it. And so I cleaned it off with a wire wheel. And obviously I'm not going to be able to sell that as a piece now because it's all scratched up very finely. But if I look at this under a microscope, you'll see all kinds of little scratches on it because I was trying to clean that off. But I don't want any impurities into the silver, so I try to clean everything. But yeah, that's getting melted down. And then we got the ½ ounce Aztec. Same thing. It had some smudges on it. So I just took the thing to it and cleaned it up. So that's 2 ounces. That should be more than enough. Hopefully it's not too much because that'll suck. But I feel like the sprue part on the top, I could probably fit 1 ounce to 1.5 ounces just in that anyway. So we should be good. So this is the last of my Duff clay. That kind of sucks. I got some more on order, but it's not supposed to be here till I think Wednesday. So it's kind of screwing me up for trying to get more things done by Friday to have an auction, but you know, we'll see what happens. I got plenty of Petrobond. I just hate using it. I was gonna start trying to use Duff clay just for like the detail part of it and then put Petrobond over top of that. The problem is then it kind of gets all mixed in together, but I got to do what I got to do until Wednesday. But I got 4.4 pounds coming of Duff clay. But I love using Duff clay way better than Petrobond. The first time I did this, I used Petrobond. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Doctor Who, what's going on? OC Stacker, what's up? No, I haven't made any more flying turtles yet. I'm I'm pretty much out of duff clay right now, so I'm trying to, and I wouldn't want to even attempt that with Petrobond. Petrobond is just, it's so sticky, and every time you touch it with your finger or anything, it kind of it lifts it out a little bit, if that makes any sense, and you'll have these like these little beads everywhere that no matter what I do, I just can't seem to get them to go away. And I'm pretty sure that that's why I usually get a little bit of pitting, because that falls down into it, and then you have those little spots where there's not supposed to be sand. I just really hate using that stuff. But like I said, I'm probably gonna use duff clay for the detail part, like a layer of duff clay over top of the piece, and then put Petrobond over top of that. I've seen people do that because the duff clay is so expensive. That's how they save money doing it, but it also kind of mixes everything. So I'm gonna try to keep it separated as best I can, but we'll see what happens. But I was just saying Wednesday I should be getting in some more duff clay, unless it happens to come a little bit earlier. But yeah, that's OC. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Is I'm trying to figure out. You know, I've got some stuff to melt, but as far as shot, I'm kind of out of it, and I really can't afford to buy more. So I'm trying to get what I can get done until then. But I just got bills, man, and you know, you got to take care of what you got to take care of first. But yeah, I've never actually, I don't think I've ever poured 4.9s. I have a couple half-ounce rounds that I was going to melt down, and then I realized they were 4.9s. So I was thinking, instead of using just one of those, because I was going to use one of those half ounces in this, and I decided to pull it aside. That way, if I pour something, I could put a couple of them in there and just do all 4.9s fine. Seven Stacks, what's going on? Flying turtle. Yeah, everybody likes the flying turtle. I definitely got to get some more made. I know I have a 10-ounce bar. I've got at least 15 rounds laying around, but then there's a bunch of stuff that I still need to go through and even see what I got. So I could pull off a few of those. Show you. For those of you who just came in, this is what I'm doing. This is the first silver sandcast I ever did, and then the 2 times I tried afterwards didn't work out, so I'm attempting to do it again, and I figure why not just go live. So this is all I'm doing. I got it all ready. We're just gonna pour this and see what happens. You know, I didn't think about it though until after I made the mold. I realized that because I'm coming in this way, I gotta pop this out through here. So all that clay is going to be kind of mixed with the burnt stuff. So I'm going to be sitting here like a surgeon trying to separate it because I have just enough to fill one of these up right now. So I'm going to try to save what I can. And then like I was saying, just kind of use the duff clay over the piece and then put Petrobond over that and just try to keep it separated as best as possible. But then I also have a bunch of I was thinking too, maybe even just mixing it up. I've seen people do that too, where they mix it like 50-50. But I don't know about that. Tony, what's going on? See you in a minute here. I just wanted to try to see if anybody would pop in today. And I'm gonna go throw that in the oven. So in about 20 minutes, we'll be ready to pour. I appreciate you, OC. I appreciate all you guys. There's quite a few of you that have my pours, and I really appreciate it. I'm glad everything made it to you safe. We are about to make a silver eagle buzz, or Boz. I got the sand already. This is what we're doing. It's actually holding the bicentennial dates in its talons. So it says 1776 and 1976. This was a pin that I found at a like something you would pin on your shirt or hat or suit, who knows. But I ripped the pin part off of the back of it and then made a pour with it one time. My first silver sandcast ever, and it came out beautiful. This is the other side. I'm pouring the silver into that hole. But yeah, it turned out beautiful. And then the 2 times I tried afterwards, it screwed up every time. So we're gonna see what happens today. And you guys know, I figured this is a hard one. So I'm gonna try to attempt to get everything right, go live, and then maybe try to pour it with you guys and see what happens. This could be an epic fail. I'm not gonna lie. It could definitely be an epic fail, but we'll see. See, I'm pouring, or I'm gonna melt these down. 2 ounces here. We're gonna melt these down and see what we can do. Actually, I came across these the other day. I forgot that I had these. I've never used them. So I'm thinking about trying this. Like, these are what I normally use, and it's just, look at this thing, man. It's overkill. This is for like a number 10 or something. I'm using number 1s. It's kind of a big difference. Danger, what's going on? I think this is 7 stacks. I think this is gonna be good. So we're gonna drop those in there. Put this in here. You see my furnace, man, it's starting to kind of, I had a couple things flake off when it's cooling down. I got a big ass hole there now, so I don't know if I need to attempt to fix that or pull it out or just get some of that stuff and kind of recoat the whole thing. I might try that. I forgot what that stuff's called, but you got to recoat it all and then burn it once, because the fumes from that are really bad. And then the fumes from inside that is actually pretty bad too. You know it's like a heat. I don't know, I guess it absorbs the heat somehow, or won't catch on fire kind of thing. Which I don't know if I necessarily need that in the top. But then again, how long will the top last if I don't have that? Because I thought about just maybe pulling it all out. But I don't know. It still works, so, these are all just thoughts in my head. I appreciate you popping in. I'm going to go throw this in the oven real quick, and I'll be back, and then we'll start the furnace up and see what happens. So it's 420. When that gets to 430, we'll start the furnace up, and then they both should be ready about the same time. I've been putting them in the oven because it kind of heats everything up. 200 degrees, 20 minutes, and it heats everything up enough to where I don't really have to use a torch and waste gas on it, because I would be trying to heat the flask up with a torch if not. But since I started doing that, it seems like you don't really have to vent as much. So I'm kind of taking all the steps. I put 4 vents in it, and then I also vented little lines everywhere just to make sure the gases could escape. And that does work good enough, but I went the extra mile today just to make sure. I really want this to work out. It's a hard piece to do. It doesn't weigh a whole lot, but it's kind of time consuming, I guess. You go live on Instagram? That's cool. I haven't ever went live on Instagram or TikTok. I think you can go live on Clapper too. I don't get over there as much as I probably should. Yeah, that's why I was thinking about using the smaller one. I think I can get a better pour. Get it in there real quick. And only having 2 ounces, I don't think it's possible for it to overflow. I think we're good. That's why I like doing it on the side, because even if you put 2 or 3 extra ounces in there, it has somewhere to go. But doing it this way, once it fills up, you're kind of screwed. As long as I get it flowing out good fast in the beginning, and maybe let off a little bit once I see it's filling up. But I feel like I have a little bit more control trying to use this. But yeah, this will be the first time. I've never used these before. I bought them and then had them sitting in the shed and totally forgot where I put them. And the other day I came across them. I was like, let me try that again. As you can see, once you get this out, I mean, I'm used to it. It works pretty good, but I'm thinking I just kind of want to try it. Yeah, a little shaky with it. Maybe I should stick with what I know. So what are y'all getting into this weekend? Anybody doing anything fun? Glad the weather's finally starting to break a little bit. It's been tough trying to pour when it's 95 degrees out and 90% humidity. I'm pretty close to the Chesapeake Bay, so it's just always humid around here. I haven't seen the deer in a couple days. I did put some corn out earlier. You never know, they might walk up while I'm sitting here pouring. And they will walk up and eat corn. It's a mama with the 2 babies. They're so used to me, they'll just come right up. I was about 10 yards away from the baby the other day because I noticed it was eating all the corn. There was only a couple kernels left, so I started walking out there real slow. She let me get to about 10 yards away and then took a couple steps back, put the corn out, and then they came right back. So they really don't mind that I'm out here working. And I haven't seen them today yet, so there's a good chance they might stop through. The other day I had 7 does out here. It was three does. 2 of them had 1 baby each, and then the one that comes in all the time has 2. I think one's a little button buck and one's a doe. They're just now losing their spots. The little girl, she's still got some spots, but you can tell one's a little bit bigger than the other. So I think he's going to be a buck next year. Whoa. Carol, what's going on? How you doing today? Still out working. Got to get her done. Yeah, I'll probably be working for the most part today and tomorrow, and trying to see what I can get done during the week. Like I said, I'd like to have an auction on Friday, but I really don't have to have it going until the 1st. The 1st is a Tuesday, so it might get pushed back to Tuesday. We'll just see how it works with the mixing of the clays. Really, the only deal is it's just going to take more time sitting there trying to separate everything and keeping the duff clay with the duff clay and the petrobond with the petrobond. But I've seen it done, so I know it can work. We got 11 people here with 11 likes. I appreciate you guys. That's awesome. You know, it's funny. I realized about a month ago that all you have to do is double tap the screen when live like this. I thought you had to go up to the three dots and then like it that way. And then I didn't realize after you watch, if you're watching a playback of a live stream, if you go to the comments, it'll have two little dots and you can slide the comments over to the left and then it'll actually have the chat. I didn't even know that until a week or two ago. I was like, what? All this time. I'm not the smartest man when it comes to gadgets or computers. I need to get a new phone. Pretty soon I'm gonna have to make that happen. This camera is not very good for what I'm trying to do. I want to start getting out soon with the GoPro too. We could either walk around some parks. There's a park that is really cool. It's a new park, not too far from here, and I kind of want to do some metal detecting there. So I think I might try to do a metal detecting video at some point. Of course, I've got really cheap ass metal detectors, but you know, you got to start somewhere. Lisa, what's going on? Appreciate you stopping in. Joseph Lopez, what's up? How's everybody doing today? Capital, that dog tag fits perfectly in Daddy's shadow box. You lost me. Dog tag? You know what I realized, that when I made that short long ago, the YouTube analytics thinks that you're a male. They are saying that 100% of the audience who commented on the video is male. Oh, it's 7 stacks. That's weird. Oh, speaking of analytics, I'm about 300 to 400. I'm in between 300 and 400 watch hours away from 4,000. So thank you guys. I've been back for 7 months now, and basically had to start over when I came back, and we're doing better now than I did in a year and a half before. So thank you guys. I never did live streams before, but I do appreciate y'all hanging out with me. It does mean a lot to me, so thank you. Can't say it enough. All right, it's 4:30. Let's actually, let me wait 1 or 2 more minutes, and then we'll start this furnace up. It's not going to take too long for this to melt because it's only 2 ounces. Actually, I need to move this. I have a door right there, and I started to put the gas on the other side of the door just in case there's some kind of leak. I really don't want it to be anywhere close to the furnace. Trying to keep those booms from happening, you know what I mean? I don't want to take a chance. That's kind of why I wanted to go to electric. For one, gas costs a lot of money, and it's just a lot safer in my opinion. I'm pouring the first eagle. Remember the eagle that had the bicentennial dates in his talons? It's like a little over half an ounce. It was the first pour I ever poured. And actually, I'll bring it out here and put it together so you can see it before I put it together. Or I'll grab the original when I go get it. That way you can see exactly what I'm making a copy of. But I poured it once, it was perfect, and I was like, man, this pouring stuff is gonna be easy. And then shortly after that, I tried to pour it again, and it didn't even fill out all the way. The wings didn't fill out all the way. And the same thing happened another time. So those ended up they got melted down. And I do have a couple pieces to clean up. I got the lion. I got to cut the sprue off of that and then do some cleanup on it. And then I have an arrowhead that I got to do a little bit more cleanup on. So those are new pieces. Those will be in the next auction. But let's get this furnace going. It's time for a fire. You know what? What do you guys think? It'd probably be smart if I actually put this in the furnace. What do you think? Like I said before, we need to start having bets on what I'm going to forget to do. It happens every time. Thinking about you guys too much instead of what I'm doing. It happens. Always putting too much thought into what are the people thinking instead of do what you're doing right, jackass. I'll get it blazing in a minute. I like to try to do it somewhat slow, that way any moisture will get out of it. Which I'm sure it would probably do it either way, but damn humidity around here always has me paranoid. And there's a leaf hanging off the shed right over top of that. Hope it stays up there. Water. Got some right there. I got a fire extinguisher inside too, just in case, inside the shed. You never know. Yeah, there's quite a few ladies in the community now. A lot of the ones from when I first started, they're not even around anymore. I started. I blew everything on the ground. It did kick it over though, so we should be good. It would just be a bitch if it fell down into the silver. Like once I open it. All it would do now is just blow away. It's too much heat. Decide what tongs I want to use. worry about clamping it. I think I am going to take the torch in the middle though a little bit. Just trying to get it nice and hot in there. I get on my PPE. That was a perfect amount. It's hot with all this crap on. It'll be real nice if it's 15, 20 degrees cooler out here. See, that's not too big. I don't think I'm going to lose a whole lot. I think we're good. Everything is caked pretty nicely. That looks pretty good so far. Don't breathe that in. See, all that extra right there. All the good stuff is what I didn't want to lose. Gotta save every bit that I can right now. I'll try to put some of the clean stuff over here. Try to save what I can. we did a good job here. I think we are good. Thank God. Thank you, Lord. This has been a tough one to get right again, but I think we did the damn thing on this one. We done did the damn thing. Isn't that what the kids say? And then I know you guys like, I know you like the quench. Not much of a quench. Let's see what we got. Obviously, that burnt stuff, I still got to get that out, but that looks pretty good. That'll be cleaned up right here. That you see a couple little lines kind of sticking off here and there because I drew all those little lines out down here. But other than that, it looks pretty good. Way better than the last two attempts. And short of, the sprue, needing to cut that off, there's really not a whole lot of cleanup to this one. Couldn't ask for a better pour, to be honest. Have to get in there a little bit better with some of the tools to get all the sand out. Over top of the beak, I'm gonna have to straighten that out a little bit. And then the sprue where it comes in. But you can see right here, this used to be all indented. Like how that pops out, it popped in on this side, and I wanted it to be more flat, so I put glue in that to make it more flat. So when I cut this off, and it'll make it weigh a little bit more than the original too, because the original was like a little over ½ ounce. Hopefully this will get closer to 3/4. But yeah, I've been showing that piece many times, but it's a piece that I'm never going to sell because it was my first silver sandcast ever. And so that's the only one that I've kept. So that's the only one that'll never be for sale. But I know a lot of people like it, so I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to pick up that piece at some point. So that's what this is. So this will be into the next auction. But yeah, OC, it's probably going to be under 3/4 ounce. It's not a very heavy piece. And it's always hard with that kind of stuff because people see, oh, it's in between 1/2 and 3/4 ounce, and they don't want to pay the extra for the work that goes into it. So that's why I really don't pour a whole lot of small pieces. But it's hard too when you sell just, a bunch of pieces that weigh 2, 3, 4 ounces, because you really don't make a whole lot off of that either. So it's a struggle. This is not an easy business to break into, I'll be honest. Unless you're doing volume. Like Wild Pig pours. I like what he does. But he's got a machine that stamps. So he'll make like 100 of one thing. Whereas I'm just kind of doing, not one-offs, but everything I've done is either a prototype or a number 1, number 2. I think I only have 1 or 2 number 3s. Other than like my channel rounds that I did. But I was thinking about maybe trying to do the whole press thing at some point. But then you got to get somebody to make you the molds, which is like a hardened steel. And you got to have 2 pieces, and it just, presses it into the design. And those things are never cheap. But at some point, I'd like to get into doing that. You know, leaving that bottom one, it does kind of stand up, but I think the only way that would look cool is if I cut the bottom off. That way it kind of, you know, like if you cut this bottom off here, make it flat, it would stand up in a way where it was kind of like facing up. But I kind of need that extra. I need to make the silver I do have go a long way. So I'm gonna cut this off, and then I gotta cut the sprue off of that lion. But yeah, the dates on this look really good too. I did one before and you couldn't really see the dates all that great. This actually might be better than the original. I'll either make a video or show you guys in the next live stream what they look like next to each other. I forgot I was gonna grab the original piece when I went up there. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna go grab the original and then the first. All right, so this is the original. You see how I glued the back to make that a little bit thicker. I tried to leave the sand in it this time, that way. I could just cut that off and then take the sprue in anywhere, but it works like this, so I think that's the best place to take it in. This was the original prototype. Obviously it's toned now. I did this 3 years ago. But you can see how the back was kind of hollow there. And then the sprue, you can't really cut it down, but so far I kind of just left it like that because I knew I was never going to do anything with this anyway. And then this is where we're at now today. And all the back is full now. So that's the difference between all of them. Detail wise, I think they all pretty much look the same. Let's see if we can get a little. There we go. That's where we're at. Yeah, that doesn't work. Got 17 likes. I appreciate you guys. All you gotta do is double tap that screen. It's the easiest thing you can do to show support. And I do appreciate it every time you do. Oh. Brown Sugar, what's going on? How you doing today? So this was the lion from the other day. Still gotta cut the sprue off and do some cleanup. Got that, and then this arrowhead I started to work on a little bit. Needs some more cleaning. This was the arrowhead that my grandfather made a dream catcher for my mother, and I took the arrowhead out so I could make a copy of it, and then now I got to put it back in there. I should have made one in copper too, that way I could make copies from the copper one, but every time you copy something it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, so you know, there is that. Yeah, this whole thing weighs 1.98 now, so I lost 2 points just from it being in the furnace. People don't realize that. Every time you do a pour, you lose a couple points. And sometimes it's even more. Like the furnace doesn't do it as bad as a torch does. Tell me why that happens. The torch always seems to be worse. Sometimes I'll put, well, I guess sometimes it sticks to the side too, so it's not necessarily the fault of the torch or anything, but I'll put 1.05 to 1.06 in it just to make sure I have at least an ounce. And sometimes they'll come out an ounce, but that's usually because a little bit sticks to the cup. Lurking and cooking. What are you cooking? I'm about to have some deer burgers again. So there's this mix called Sour's Hamburger Mix. Even if you aren't cooking deer or venison, whatever you want to call it, even with beef, man, that mix is so good. I used to do onion soup mix and put that in with the burger meat just to make burgers. But I found this stuff, and it's like a powder. It almost looks like a rub, but you mix water with it and kind of make a paste, and then throw it in and just mix it all up real good. And then I'll chop up like a quarter of an onion real fine, and then mix that all in with it too. Man, let me tell you, I've eaten a lot of burgers recently. You know, because it's deer season again, and I still got a crap ton of burger. I have burger from 2 years ago still in the freezer. So I pulled some of that 2-year-old stuff out, and there was a little bit of freezer burn here and there, so I just pulled that off. And I ate a couple yesterday, and they taste great. So yeah, you can keep deer in your freezer for 2 years. Just saying. But man, that stuff is so good. Because I did use it with beef one time too, but for some reason it just tastes better with the venison. But also, when I harvest a deer, I take it to a grocery store that it's kind of a small backwoods kind of grocery store at the bottom of this neighborhood that nobody really even drives by half the time. So I purposefully just go down there and take it to them, because they'll chop it up for me for a pretty good price. And when they make the burger, they use beef fat. Like, you don't want to use deer fat. If you ever take a place and they use the fat from the deer to make the burger, don't do it. It just doesn't taste good. Deer fat is kind of gross. Deer fat or beef fat, man, I'll sit and chew on that. Beef fat's good. But yeah, I don't know if that really gets into the fat or anything, but the adrenaline, when you harvest an animal like that, you take the shot, it realizes it got shot, and then it runs until it dies, which could be a step. Sometimes they fall right over. Sometimes they run a little ways, and when they're running, the adrenaline is pumping through their blood, so that kind of gets into the blood. And so I always soak my deer steaks in water for like a half hour to 45 minutes before I cook it. And I keep squeezing it, pushing down on it, trying to get all that blood out of it, because that's where that gamey taste comes from. Everybody talks about how deer has a gamey taste to it, and it just really depends on how you prepare it and how you cook it. So that's my experience anyway. surprised I haven't seen a deer coming in yet. I wish they'd bring some bucks. Last year I had my Canon 80D I would bring out and just sit out here and video them. I got a bunch of videos of deer. I need to make like a compilation video and post that. I got videos of squirrels and turkeys and just all kinds of stuff over the years. You know, you see a lot of crap when you're in the woods. Fox, squirrels, rabbits, turkey. I've had turkey. I'll go out to the stand and it's dark, right? So you get out there before it starts to get light. And I'll be sitting in the stand and all of a sudden I'll start hearing wings flapping all around me, not realizing that there was about 30 turkeys in the trees above me. And they start flying down out of the trees because they roost up in the trees at night. So I've also been out in the evening where I'm hunting and all of a sudden 10 to 30 turkeys will come in and start flying up into the trees all around me to roost for the night. It's a pretty cool experience. And then I've had them come in and just eat all my corn up too. So in Maryland, you can't hunt that way. You can't put corn down if you turkey hunt. So you always tend to see them when you're deer hunting. Imagine that. Scott Silver, how you doing? I appreciate you. This is the original. This was the first one I ever poured, and I just did that one. Of course, it still needs cleanup and everything, but these are a couple of the pieces I'm working on now. This was my first silver sandcast ever, so that will never be for sale. But a lot of people like it, so I wanted to do another one to give somebody a chance. I tried it 2 other times and screwed it up, so this is me finally figuring out how to do it right again. And I'm using Duff clay too. You sent me an email? Okay, I can't look at it now. I need to figure out how to get the emails to my computer for Capital Currency. I still haven't figured that out yet. Like I said, I am so bad with computers. It's really ridiculous. So I've been on YouTube for 4 years. I didn't even realize how to, you know how when you go into live streams, because I used to be blue in quite a few live streams. And then when I went on that 2-year kind of hiatus, a lot of people took me off, but I'm still here and there. But anyway, when that started happening, that's when I realized how you could post links. I didn't even know how to post a freaking link on YouTube for a year. That's how bad I am. I know. There's videos out there that teach you everything. That's how I learned to get the OBS up on the computer. I still can't figure out how to make it go live though. I need to start watching those videos again. Because I would love to be able to do live streams where I have videos that pop up. Like if somebody's dueling over a piece, you know, have a video of somebody sword fighting or, you know, just funny things to throw up here and there. I think that makes it way more fun. I need to figure that stuff out, but I actually had a friend that I thought was going to help me at one point, but he never really reached out, and I don't want to bug him. But there is always something to learn, especially when it comes to pouring. I started YouTube 4 years ago. I decided I wanted a furnace about 6 months in. And then after about a year, probably not even a full year, I started to pour. And a lot of those original pours, I gave them all away. I did a bunch of bars and copper and silver and just did giveaways with that kind of stuff because it was my learning process. And some of them really weren't that great. Some of them were pretty cool, but yeah, all that stuff's gone now. I've sold pretty much every pour that I've ever done. I kept my first silver sandcast, which is the Eagle, and then I have a guitar that I made. It was a keychain bottle opener, but it looks like a guitar. And I did that in copper. And those are the only 2 that I've saved, except for the tool. I have a tool, if that makes any sense. I don't know if anybody knows the band Tool. And one of their original t-shirts, they had a wrench. It's like the wrench goes here, and then it has like two balls on the bottom of it, which are nuts. So it's like two nuts and a wrench together, and it says tool down the middle of it. That's another piece that I made that I haven't sold just because it's my favorite band, and it's an original piece, one of my first pieces that I ever made. I actually 3D printed that, I think 3 times that size, but I never tried to pour that one yet. That was a good print too. The back actually looks pretty good. Sometimes the backs don't look all that great in 3D prints. PLA is kind of funny, because everything I get, I just find on the internet somewhere. I don't ever do anything from scratch myself. So when you're trying to make pieces smaller than the originals, it tends to act funny sometimes when you go to print it. I've had that happen a lot. I want to do a bust of Einstein. I did a big one, the original size, and it looks cool. But in silver, it would be probably 20 ounces. So I did another one smaller, but every time I try to print it, it cuts half the head off. Like the whole top of his dome is like open. It just won't fill out right. I tried printing that a few times. I only just found out about this new thing the kids call editing. Yeah, I used to edit, but I do it all on iMovie. So actually, I do have another one, Filmora. I do have Filmora too, and that's pretty cool if you're doing videos like these, like vertical, to post on like those platforms. It's really good for that. A lot of extras you can use. But when it came to YouTube, I just did iMovie. All I really needed to do was be able to take different parts and put it into one video, and then be able to cut it up, especially when you're talking and you're like, what's that thing? And you got to think for a minute for whatever it is you're trying to say. That happens to me a lot, so I had to learn how to edit. Shit, even doing that, I would still make the video 3-4 times before I got it good enough to edit. Definitely happened a lot. But yeah, I want to get back into trying to do some video stuff. I've just been live streaming lately. But I definitely want to get back into that. I don't know if it's this phone, but something keeps screwing up whenever I try to post a video. It doesn't let me. It'll give me enough time to put in a title if I'm fast enough, but if I try to start doing a description, and it's only with videos. Live streams, it doesn't do that, but it'll lock me out. It'll just lock up on me, and I'll have to get out and start over. And it pisses me off till no end. So I just haven't been doing it like I want to. I've got some unboxings I need to do from like 2 years ago, things I picked up that I'd like to let go of now. So I need to get some of those videos done probably this week. So if you do see a video from me that I put out, if you watch it right away, just know that you might have to come back if you want to read anything in the description. Especially if I do links to other people's channels. Like, I can't do it. I have to come back to it for that. There's no way it'll give me enough time. It's kind of ridiculous. But anyway, we're going to pull this in. A minute here. here in the shed, and hopefully I'll try to let this think for a minute. Every time I come in here, shit gets squirrely. May not be as bad as I started out here though. Come on. So a lot of times, what I'll do with these sprues is, man, this lighting is terrible. I'll use a bandsaw to cut that off the top here. It's so much quicker. I have this saw, but you see how small, tiny those blades are? They break a lot. But it is cool because you can kind of turn it as you go. But the bandsaw will take me 10 seconds, whereas that will take probably 10 minutes. So it's a whole nother process. But I was thinking about doing this one again. Number one, this is 3 ounces when I pour it. It was a handle for like a drawer I found down at the beach in Ocean City. And then I have a shell too I was thinking about doing at some point. That's a little better. Getting late here. Where are you at? Have you used the GoPro? No, Carol, I wanted to make a video, like doing a proper unboxing of it and kind of showing it and everything before I started to use it. And like I was saying earlier, YouTube keeps locking up on me all the time when I try to do that, so I just haven't done it. But I'm gonna try to knock that out this week because I got a lot of things I like to use that for. Shoot, I could probably take the bike to some of these parks and ride around the park and show you guys some pretty cool parks around here. Right on the bay. I think that'd be fun. I definitely want to do some metal detecting with it. The GoPro, when it comes to making videos like this, it's so far away. And as far as I know, you can't zoom with it. So everything just looks so far away trying to make like a regular video, so I haven't tried to use it for that yet. But I have a Canon 80D, which is a great camera. The thing about that is sometimes it takes a while to focus, and the phone focuses almost right away. So I would definitely have to work on some editing if I was going to use that camera. But the picture is amazing. But the cool thing about the GoPro is like I could be riding a bike, or I could be even like running or jogging or something. And it doesn't really bounce around a whole lot. It has some kind of technology in it that works really good for that. I don't know what they call it, but apparently it's 4K, but you can actually record in 5K. See, that'll be fun. I almost want to try to see what I can do here. I think this would be better to have. It's like you got to be real easy. Like, you can't press down too hard. You got to let the saw do the work. And it cuts pretty good, but it just breaks so easy. And with that bandsaw, man, I never want to get so close. So the cleanup is always terrible because I don't want to get too close to the actual piece. So really, this does work a hell of a lot better. It's pretty close. I'm trying not to push down because as soon as you try to push down, it breaks. You gotta push down a little bit. I think I'm already getting kind of far away from where I want to be doing. Trying to get it to turn a little bit. This is the work that most people don't see. But that's why I like going live and showing you guys the process. So you can really appreciate the piece when it's all said and done. I'm starting to get carpal tunnel already. And once you get it close enough, you can actually kind of bend it and it'll snap the rest of it. See, it's already coming off. I might cut a little bit more. See what we can do here. I knew that was my fault. I turned it too much. There we go. It's pretty close. Now with the bandsaw, I would have probably had 1/8 of an inch over top of that whole thing, and I would have had to do a straight line too. So I would have came in here and went almost to that ear, but I would have been trying to be real careful I didn't go too far, you know. So it would have been up a lot more. and then I would have been filing for 2 hours. Because if it was flat, I could take it to the sander and just like and grind it down. But because it's got the ear right here and then the top of the head, and it kind of goes back and forth a little bit, just one of those pieces. The amount of silver that is all over this shed has got to be crazy. Curious what this bad boy weighs. I shouldn't lose too much from here. That's Troy. 2.95. 94. 95. So it'll probably be 2.94 by the time I get done cleaning it up. Maybe 3. We got 3.5 ounces to work with. Plus this is going to be probably 1.5 ounces. So yeah, that's how we do it sometimes. Other times I'll use the bandsaw. And I just have a Ryobi bandsaw. It was like 120 bucks. The problem is with that is like I would do copper things. And with copper, I don't really care about losing it that much. But I don't want to use the same blade I use for silver, so I need to get another blade for that thing. I tried to find some at Home Depot, and I could not find them anywhere. You would think they would have blades for the saw that they sell. But yeah, I couldn't find any. Is it called a stabilizer? For what? What was I talking about? I can't remember. I'm thinking when you say stabilizer, like a vise. Really what you're supposed to do when you're sawing is put that into a vise and saw instead of holding it with your hand, because you're holding your whole wrist really tight. And I know a dude that's on TikTok, he just had to get carpal tunnel surgeries on his wrist because that's how he was filing. Even when you file, you should put it in a vise and file instead of trying to hold it in one hand and file with the other, which is what I do. But yeah, it's a bad thing. I probably shouldn't do that. Trying to learn from other people. That's why I like coming on here too and showing you guys how I do it, and then let you know if I'm doing it wrong eventually, you know, and talk about it, because, you know, if you could save your wrist, we can learn together, and you can learn from my mistakes. So when I do file, this is what I used to do. Put everything on top of here, and I would just file over top of it and try to save all of the shavings. A while back, I quit doing it. And I don't know. I almost want to go back to trying to save that. And then whatever I end up saving, I'll pour a piece with it, probably a round or a bar or something like that, and then tell you guys like that's what it is. It's because you never know, there might be some kind of impurities in it because you're using a file. What if a little piece of the tooth breaks off or something that gets in there? Like, I don't know. I don't know if anything would come off of a file like that, but and any kind of dirt that gets in there, obviously that'll just burn out. But I feel like I never wanted to mix it with my shot or anything like that, so I just didn't use it. I did it in the beginning for a couple pieces that I just gave away, and that could be a good giveaway piece too. Maybe we'll do that. I'll start saving what I do file down and then do like a round with it, and then call it the shavings round or something, and just give it away like the end of a live stream or something like that. Oh, yes, the GoPro has some kind of stabilizer in it. I forgot what it's called though. It has a name. Some kind of stabilizing system or other. But it's like built into it somehow. So you can really shake it around and it doesn't look shaky when you watch the video back. So I do want to break a bike out and go for a ride and see what that looks like. I've got the attachments. I got a thing that goes on my chest, and I actually set that up for my phone so that I could use my phone to make videos like that. So I got to change that back out because I had to rig it up too. I had to like do some surgery to make that happen. Now you can buy them like that, but that was a couple years ago when I picked that one up, and it was pretty much for GoPros. And I had a GoPro, but it was a cheap one. It wasn't an actual GoPro. It was like a knockoff, and it was terrible. So I never even used it for anything. But that's originally why I bought it. So I got the thing you put so you can wear it on your chest, and then I have a thing I could put on my head so, you know, you could wear it on your head. I think there's an attachment for a hat where you could clip it onto your hat, although I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to clip it onto a hat. That seems dangerous. But it also has like a watertight thing you can put it in, and it's pretty cool. There's a lot of attachments that come with it. And then all the stuff that I had too on the side. But yeah, I don't even have any files out here. I got some files, but they're files I haven't used yet that I'm saving for when I need them. Some of my copper files are getting kind of gross, like they're kind of, you can see all that. That's not good. Even though it's for copper, I still don't want to use something that got rusty. So I've been using these for the copper stuff now, and I try to keep everything separate. I don't want to use anything. If you're doing silver, use the same type of everything, really. Even the graphite, you know, like this one is for silver. I have 2 for silver, and then I have 2 for copper. Never mix it. And then the same thing with my files. That's what you should be doing if you're pouring. Everybody I know that's good at it, that's what they say to do. That's been doing it for a long time. You know, and then there's pieces like this where you buy the graphite mold and you just pour right into that. I've done a few of those. I don't do a whole lot of that. I like sandcasting better, but I put a couple crosses out. I put out a few hearts, and you see how thick that is too. The hearts I'm doing now, I hammer them flat, and then I do like a hammered look on them. So instead of it being this big, it's kind of more like out here. It's a lot bigger because I'm beating it more flat, and all that expands out. And then I do like a hammered look to it. OC got the last one. I appreciate that. Check this out. This is something I made. For my torches. Out of pallet wood. I made 2 of them. Obviously, I usually use map gas, but see, I can have my mold sitting down here, ready to go. And you can move it up higher or lower. I made a couple of those. I try to be crafty. And I made it kind of long too because it'll slide up underneath. Like, see this piece right here? I can get it to slide like up underneath of it. And of course, you don't want it to tip over either. The deers are coming. Watch, 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 watch. Here they come. Come on, mama. Come on, mama. Let me lift you guys up so I can read the comments. I got you plugged in, so I don't want to go too far away. Come on. What you doing, lady? I'm about 20 yards away from her with both doors to the shed open. She knows I'm here. And the babies are coming right behind her. Here she comes. That's the little doe. There's a little buck too coming. He's not a buck yet, but he's a little bit bigger than she is, and they're both hers. So pretty sure one's male, one's female. Come on, buddy. I had a feeling they were going to come in. A lot of times they'll be here 3-4 times a day. They know I just keep feeding them, so they keep coming back. They'll walk off like 10 yards. I'll walk out there, put more corn out, and then they'll come right back. It's funny. But they see me here standing. They're not afraid anymore. Which, I don't know if that's a bad thing. I kind of don't want them to be used to humans, but it just kind of happened. Yeah, I think the one on the left is a little boy, and the one on the right, she just lost her spots within a week because she was full of spots probably a week ago. My little deers are growing up. Hey, Lady Brandon, how you doing? These are my pet deer. I mean, they're not actually my pets. I don't need somebody trying to turn me in. But I feed them corn all the time. See, look, they know it's gone. Watch, they're gonna go back there and they're gonna stop and they're gonna wait for me to bring more out. Although, no, she might be taking off. It's been about 2 weeks since I bought corn, and I only have a little bit of a 50-pound bag left. He's like, nah. You didn't put any of that apple stuff in it. Sometimes I'll sprinkle some, it's what do you call it? It's like little chopped up rocks, really. It's a mineral rock chopped up, like real fine. And it's apple spiced Jurassic rock. This stuff. They love that too. Oh, she's coming back. She's like, come on, why are you still there? He was supposed to put more out. You want some more? You want some more? Want some more? They'll be back. She's still standing right there. They won't let me feed them by hand, but they'll step back while I take it out and come right back. It's funny. That's why I call them my pets. She's like, you forgot the apple, man. Come on, dude. Scuba Steve's got a deer he feeds. Yeah, I heard he's got like a turkey too. I guess that's in a cage though, or whatever, on the property. Doesn't he have chickens too? Man, I would love to have all, if I wish I had more room, I'd have all that stuff too. Thank you, Lady Braven. I appreciate you being here. Trying to get them watch hours up. I should be getting close to needing about 300 more watch hours to hit 4,000. Not that I'm going to do anything with that, but it's always been, when I first started 4 years ago, that was what I was trying to get to. Just to say I did, you know, and then took that break for 2 years. And about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, came back. Yeah, I guess it's about 6 months ago. Man, I put way too much corn out there. I need to go buy another bag soon. I have a 5-gallon bucket. It's like a kitty litter thing I cleaned out. They come in them 5-gallon buckets because it has a top that opens up. So I'll fill that up with corn. And then I have those 2 littler things for like cereal, Tupperware kind of thing. I fill 2 of those up, and then I have enough to put a decent amount of corn out for a day or 2, 3 days. And then I start breaking into that. And I have about 1.5 of those left, and then that's it. I was out here yesterday and a big ass tree limb fell. I was hunting in the woods about 2 years ago, and a whole ass tree fell over. I was like, that almost made me poop my pants. Because it was pretty close to me. The whole damn tree just fell over. And sometimes the dogs next door will bark and kind of spook them a little bit too. They're used to the sound of my voice, so they don't really get spooked by me unless I drop something. Luckily, it wasn't the tree I was in that fell over. Could always be worse, right? Although I've been in a tree and a climber and climbed like halfway up the tree on days when all of a sudden it got windy out of nowhere and you're like rocking back and forth in the tree, like, man, this almost seems dangerous. But that's what trees do, I guess. It definitely made sound because it was right next to me. I definitely heard that one. But does a tree make a sound if there's no one there to hear it? Not really. Yeah, so I did a pour earlier. That's why we're here. And I was talking about the cleanup process and things like that, and all of a sudden they walked in, so that's why we're looking at deer now, in case anybody was wondering. I copied a silver eagle that I did. It was my first silver sandcast ever. And of course, I don't want to sell that one because it was my first pour. It's the only one that I've kept other than a tool logo. And a lot of people like it. It's holding the bicentennial dates, which is really cool in my opinion. So I wanted to give somebody a chance at one of those in my next auction. And that will be a number 1. Mine I have to call the prototype because it was my first prototype ever, which will probably never be sold. To be honest, like the first probably 40 pours I didn't want to sell. I was like so attached to them. But then the longer you do it, it's like, and then when you want to start kind of getting your art out there, none of that really matters as much anymore. It's more about getting it out into the community. But yeah, for a while there, I was attached to all of it. Even my stack. I mean, shoot, when I have auctions, I put other stuff up because I want there to be something for everybody. And not everybody's into just pours. So I went through a pretty good amount of my stack too. Things that I never thought I would have sold before. But I think like the first 2 years when you start stacking, 3 years, maybe even 5 years, you're kind of attached to everything. But then after a while, it's just kind of like, and then everybody changes too, especially, you know, just when it comes to stacking, not even the art side of it. Just things that you're not really into like you were when you first started. I am glad that I stocked up on a pretty good amount of rounds. JM Bullion loved me for a while. I spent thousands of dollars with them buying rounds and bars and all that stuff, a lot of which I've melted down. And quite a few I sold to a coin shop, which I really regret now because I would still have that to pour, but that's life. You gotta do what you gotta do. It's funny though, the other day, early morning, I put some out and I was sitting out here just to see what would pop up. And right as it was getting light, I had 4 deer in here. So I knew it wasn't these 3, or they had a friend. And come to find out, it was a doe that had a baby and another doe that had a baby. And they were in these woods that whole day. So later on, these 3 came up because they're always up here eating all the corn. Look how fast they ate that corn. It's almost gone. Man, I have to start taking donations for corn. What was I saying? So they were sitting here, and the mama would every time those other 2 does would come over and try to bring their baby over to get some corn, she would stomp and like kind of start walking towards them, and then they would turn around and walk away. Then later on, they would try to come over. She would walk over to them, stomp, they would walk away. She just was not letting those other kids eat. That's a mama for you though, you know, you gotta protect your own. I think it was 2 years ago, I put some corn out and a bunch of does came in. And a buck was trying to come in, and he was like a little 4-pointer. He was trying to come in and eat. And one of the does, I think it was the biggest one there, she kept kicking him with his back foot, or with her back foot. And she would kick him, and then he would run off. And he would come back and try to get some more corn, and she would kick him again. It was pretty funny. I've also been out hunting and come across deer fighting. Sitka deer. I don't know if I've ever seen whitetail fight, but I've definitely watched Sitka deer on the Eastern Shore fight. 2 6-pointers, which is about as big as they get. It's the Japanese deer that ended up being on the Eastern Shore because a guy was bringing some exotic animals to his wife and the boat sank. I guess like 100 years ago, maybe longer, I don't know when it was, but I feel like it was the early 1800s. But the boat sank and they swam to the Eastern Shore, so that's the only place in Maryland that they are, is on the Eastern Shore. And my family had a farm over there. Well, still do. But I was over there hunting one time, and these 2 bucks were fighting. The 2 does, there was 2 does and 2 bucks. The bucks were fighting over the 2 does because they were in the middle of the rut. But it was doe season, like you couldn't shoot a buck. And so I'm sitting there watching them fight. The does saw me, so they ran off. And that's when I noticed. And then I saw them, so I'm looking through the scope, down on my knees, sitting here, you know, watching a fight with 2 big bucks going at it. One of them, I guess he went into the marsh after the does, and then the other one walked the opposite way away from him. So I'm trying to hurry up and get to the stand because it was like right next to the stand. But they were in the marsh. I get almost to the stand, and I hear something about to step out of the marsh. So I get down, got the gun up. It was muzzleloader season. And I'm looking at this perfect 6-point sicket buck. Walk out broadside and just turns his head and he's just looking at me for like 5 minutes. But I couldn't pull the trigger because it was doe season. We didn't even realize it was doe season until we got there. My cousin had invited me to come over, and I was like, sure. And I was like, oh, by the way, did you know it was doe season? He was like, no. I was like, yep. And I always try to do everything by the book, so I wasn't going to take that shot. But, man, sitting and watching them fight was pretty cool. But I did end up shooting a doe that later on that evening. Or actually, it was still in the morning. It was about 2 hours later. This huge doe come running across the field and stopped right in front of me. So I ended up harvesting her, and that's the first time I had hunted since I was probably 19, and I was about 32, and I've been hunting ever since. That's my story. And I did everything with that doe too, start to finish. Pulled the trigger all the way to the plate. I did everything. Because I just had a daughter and I wanted to know that I could do that. I wanted to be able to have an experience start to finish. Because a lot of times when you do something like that, you just take it to somebody and they cut it up for you. So I've done a few myself, but now I like to take it to, there's a grocery store down the street. I was talking about that earlier, because they'll make the burger with beef fat from, because they're at a grocery store. So they do it right. And man, I'm about to cook some of those burgers in a little while, actually. They made me some sausage too, which was really good. And I hadn't even tried it till just now. And that was from 2 years ago. I've had all this sitting in the freezer for 2 years. I'm like, I need to either eat it or chuck it if it's freezer burnt. Luckily, there's a little bit of freezer burnt here and there, but for the most part, it's all good. I just pull the freezer burnt part off and cook the rest, and tastes great. No issues. Lee, what's up? Yeah, you just missed the deer. I had Mama with the 2 does were in here. I poured a silver eagle, and they walked in, so I turned the phone around. But they're gone. Show you what I did. A couple pieces here. So this was an eagle that I wanted to make a copy of. It used to be a pen. I glued it in the back because I wanted it to be a little bit thicker, because the original, this is the first silver sandcast I ever did. Turned out perfect, but I didn't like how that had like such an indent right there. So I filled it in, and then now the back is pretty full. But I just did this earlier today. This is a number 1. That's an original, and then that's the prototype. The prototype, obviously, I'm never going to sell it because it's my first piece I ever poured. But I just cut the sprue off of this. That's the lion. It's about 3 ounces, just under 3 ounces. And then this arrowhead, which was actually in a dream catcher my grandfather made for my mother back in the day. And so I took this out of the dream catcher to make a copy of it. So this one has a lot of meaning to me. I swear I just heard something else. Must have been a squirrel. It's funny, the squirrels get pissed off when the deer come in eating, because there's a squirrel there right now like, where's all the corn? All they do is take it and bury it somewhere else. Now, tell me this, how does a squirrel remember when it buries corn in 1,000 different places? How does it remember where all that stuff is? Do they have noses that are just that good, or what the hell? Because they always do that. He'll grab a piece of corn, go bury it somewhere, go back, grab another piece of corn, go bury it somewhere. It's hilarious. Noel, what's going on? Ain't freezing your balls in the snow. Yeah, we don't have any snow here, that's for sure. Not yet. I'm in Maryland, so we don't really get a whole lot of snow. usually a couple times a year. Every now and again, we'll get a couple feet. We tend to be right on the line. Like Pennsylvania gets a lot of snow. And when you get down into Maryland, it's kind of where I'm at. It's kind of like right on the line of it could rain or it could snow. And we usually get the rain. But every now and again, I remember a few years back, man, we got like 3 feet. That must have been, that was probably 12 years ago now that I'm thinking about it. Damn. You know you're getting old when 12 years feels like it was a couple years ago. But, yeah, we had like 3 feet, man. And I was staying with somebody in an apartment complex. I had to dig out my truck. But there was nowhere to really put the snow because it was a whole parking lot. Now, see, I was smart. I actually parked next to where there was like a little light pole, so I would have somewhere to throw my snow. But nobody else had anywhere to really put it. It was crazy. And yeah, it didn't take long for me to lose that spot because I didn't live there. But I hooked somebody up. Yeah, when my daughter was little too, the deck out back, in between the deck and then the basement steps, I would take all the snow from the deck and throw it down there in between. So it would be like a little, a hill that she would ride down to underneath the deck. And then I made it, so it was almost like a half pipe. It would go up on the other side and spin back, and then she would come back and get up, do it again. I made steps going up. It was like a slide, basically. And I'd put a little saucer on top. She would get in it and slide down. And it was, geez, I can't remember that laugh all of my life. Till the day I die, I'm going to remember that laugh. Just giggling and having so much fun. Scuba Steve, what's up? Yeah, you got the original. You got the original of this, right? This is the number 1. Or was that the Griffin line? I can't remember who got that last Griffin line. I was thinking about doing another one of those, actually. This is a really cool detailed piece. And it's not too heavy because it's not real thick. Yeah, I used to live in Towson back in the day, Lee, for a couple of years. It was a pretty cool place where we were at. It was cool because you could drive like 5 minutes north and be in the woods. And there was a Black Raven Reservoir and just a really nice area up there. But if you drove 5 minutes south, you were in the ghetto. Like it was kind of city living at its best, I guess. But you also had the rural part pretty close. Blistering Barnacles, what's going on? Appreciate you. Yeah, so this is the original. It was a pin that I found in a consignment shop, and I took the pin part off of it and then glued the back so it was thick there instead of being the way the original was. This is my first silver sandcast ever, and you can see how the back wasn't filled in. So I glued the back of it and then tried it again 2 times and failed. And then I just today decided I was going to try it again. I felt like everything I had with the sand was right, so I went live just to see if I could pull it off, and luckily we did. Still needs to be cleaned up, but see how the back looks a lot better like this, I think. And then that's just under 3 ounces. And then this is probably like a ½ ounce. I still got to clean this up a little bit. My grandfather made my mother a dream catcher, and this was in it, so I took it out to make a copy of it. I'm always looking for pieces like that. That's like the praying hands. Oh, you know, I don't know if I ever showed anybody. The praying hands was on this cross. I found this in my grandmother's apartment. Obviously, it was hanging on the wall. I didn't necessarily find it, but I took it off because she had passed away and we were cleaning out her apartment. And the praying hands were actually on here. So I drilled them out so I can make copies. And I think the next one I make, which I'm probably going to do for the next auction because everybody seems to like them and they always sell. So I'm going to probably make a number 4, I think I'm at. It's either number 3 or number 4. I can't remember. I got everything written down. So I like pieces that have meaning. So I'm always trying to find things like that came from somebody I love, or pieces that just mean a lot to me, kind of thing. You know, always looking for that sort of thing. .59, which by the time I clean it up, it'll be less than that. The original was .53, so this one's probably going to be like .65 maybe by the time I get done with it. So trying to add some smaller pieces. Usually in the auctions I always have pieces that tend to be heavy, and sometimes they're hard to sell, sometimes they're not. It just depends. So I'm trying to do some more smaller pieces, but the thing is with the smaller pieces, you have a lot more time wrapped up in it, so it's hard for people to want to pay what they're really worth. But, you know, this whole process, I bring you guys along with me through all of it, behind the scenes and whatever it is I'm thinking about and what I'm trying to do. Because that's the whole point. I'm trying to learn here and, you know, see what happens. Take you guys along with me on my ride. Big T, what's going on? How you doing? Towson's blown up into a city. Yeah, this was, I'm 45, and I was 19, 20? No, I was 20 when I lived there. 20 to 21, because I turned 21 while I was living there. I remember walking down the street, we went to a bar just so I could get a beer. But I really didn't drink back then. But, you know, when you turn 21, you got to go to a bar and buy a beer. Not like I got hammered or anything. I think I literally had like 1 or 2 beers. Thank you, Blistering. I appreciate that. I was nervous because, like I said, I did that. This one was the first one ever. And that's when I first started pouring about 3 years ago, right? And I'm like, man, this pouring thing is not that hard. I can't believe it. First try, everything was perfect. I was like, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. Immediately, I ordered more shot because I think I had a kilo. And then I ordered a second kilo because I knew it was something I really wanted to do. And I'd messed around with a little bit of copper here and there, but I didn't do a whole lot of silver yet. What? Probably soon. I'm going to get off here soon. What time is it? Yeah, I'll be out soon. Look, they're already wanting them deer burgers. What was I saying? Crap. Oh, I did the first one and thought, man, this is awesome. This is going to be easy. So I tried it again. Like where my thumbs are, none of that filled out. Then I tried it again. That one was even worse. And I haven't tried again since. So today I was like, man, I don't have a whole lot of silver laying around. Let me try to do a couple smaller pieces and, you know, meaningful pieces. Because obviously that being my first pour ever, I wanted to make a copy so that you guys could get a chance to get one. So I'll have that in the next auction. But yeah, it actually turned out pretty good in my opinion. I think this actually might look better than the original, especially with the back being a little bit more full. I think it does. I still got to clean it up, but it doesn't need much cleanup. Up here, you know, this corner right there, there's a few pieces. This top right here have to be filed down a little bit, but other than that, not a whole lot of cleanup. But yeah, that was one of those points where you think things are going to go a certain way, and you think you're going to be really good at something, and then you realize, wow, this is going to take a lot of work. And so I've been putting in that hard work ever since. More recently, in the past 6 months, I probably poured more in the past 6 months than I poured in the 2 years prior to that. But, you know, because it was just I would pour here and there. I've been trying to do it pretty regularly here within the past 6 months. But if I had to guess, I need to finish filling out my book. I've probably, of all the pours I've done, I think I've probably sold about 300 ounces in pours that I've poured and gotten to the community. And you guys are exclusive. Like, I don't go on Instagram, I don't go on TikTok, I don't sell on Clapper. It's all exclusive to YouTube for now. You know, at some point I'm gonna have to branch out if I really want to make this turn into something. But I'm also gonna have to do a lot more pours, and I'm gonna need a lot more capital to to like, I'd love to order 1,000 ounces a shot, but, or 500 ounces a shot. 1,000 is too much. I ain't got that kind of money. Never will, probably, for a while anyway. But it would be nice to order like 500 ounces or 250 ounces, something like that. But, you know, silver ain't cheap, especially now. By the way, has anybody checked today? I know it was 31 something not too long ago. I don't know where it's at today, but the Fed dropped rates by a half a point. 50 basis points, I guess is what they call it, but it's like a 0.5%. And that very day, silver shot up like $1.25. And then it came down a little bit, and I think it went back up a little bit. I haven't really been paying attention closely like that, but it's hard to pay 30 something for a shot. When it went down to 28, I should have bought some. I just didn't really have the capital. Capital. Every time I say capital, I'm going to do that. Y'all are like, this dude's freaking weird. What a dumbass. I just like having fun. Bought a bag of chips. Silver, 4 ounce, apparently 60 to 90%. Is this something you use? 90%? No, I don't. Everything I ever pour is 3/9 fine. I do have a couple 4/9 fine rounds that I'm thinking about melting down, but I've never done anything with 90%. Not that I wouldn't, but when it comes to pours, most people are at least doing 925. But for the most part, everybody does 3/9. 31, 39. Man. It's tough trying to do pours, because if I go to buy a shot right now, it's probably going to be, it depends on how much I buy, but I'm not going to be able to get it for less than 32. And I probably won't even be able to do that. But you buy a bunch of shot at 32, and then the price falls down to 28. Nobody wants to pay that extra. To be honest, my shot right now, I bought 100 ounces, I bought 50 ounces, and I bought 2 kilos in shot. I think that's all that I've bought in shot. Or maybe there was another 50 ounces in there somewhere. I can't remember. But when I figured it all out, my dollar cost average for shot was $29.50. So if I sell a pour for $32, I'm really breaking even, because you got gas, you've got sand, you've got files, and all the little pieces that wear out and things like that. Like, all that costs money. So you know, my rounds, I was starting those at 35, and a lot of them sold for 35. Some of them went for more, but you know, certain pieces you really just don't make any money off of. But I knew when I started that's kind of where I was going to be, and so that's where we're at. But the past 2 auctions, I've raised certain pieces up a little bit more than $35 an ounce, because I did everything for $35 an ounce that first auction. So you guys got some great deals if you were there, especially getting some of my original pieces that I put out into the world. But yeah, it's a tough business unless you're really doing a lot of stuff. Like, that's what I was talking about earlier, getting a press and being able to have somebody design me something that looks cool, and then do a bunch of 1 or 2 ounce pours, rounds or whatever, and then, or bars, and then press them like Wild Pig Pour does. If anybody knows him on Instagram and TikTok, He'll do the same thing like 50 to 100 times, and they sell like hotcakes. But that's the only way you're really going to be able to make enough money to keep buying shot and able to pay your bills, you know? If you're trying to do it as a business. And I found a press for like $100, like a cheap press, a hand press. Basically, it's a bottle jack upside down kind of thing. And I actually bought a bottle jack, and I got a bunch of strut. And I was thinking about trying to make one at some point, because that will work. Silver is pretty malleable. I mean, I'm gonna have to hang on it to get it to come down enough. But once it clicks, you push it back up and get it to click again. You know, you can make it happen with that. But if I was to go buy a press that is made for that sort of thing, you're looking at like 10 grand. So I don't know. I'd need to get a pretty good loan to get everything I would need to really go full force at it. You know what I mean? But like I said, I'm just, you know, thinking out loud here. That's what I do. When I came back, I started the process of the pouring and everything, and decided that I was going to bring you guys along with me and talk about everything like that, and show you guys the behind the scenes and the process of making pours and clean up and just kind of everything that's involved in it. I mean, shoot, on this piece, I already broke one of these. So there's always shop supplies you got to kind of add into that, which I haven't really been doing yet, but that's where my head's at with it. We're gonna keep it going. But we've been on here for 2 hours. Daughter fishing. Chesapeake Bay Rockfish Tournament ended today. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, let me know how she did. That's pretty cool. I would have liked to have got in on that. I never know when the hell things are going on around here, man. I usually find out after it's over. I tried to go rock fishing the other day. I had a bucktail on a fishing rod, and I was just at a pier, and I was casting out, and I was trying to cast up along a pier on the other side, on the same side I'm at, but, you know, further up to the next pier. And the damn thing, it got caught on the log somehow. I don't know if there was a nail sticking out or what, but it got caught on it, got stuck, and I tried to rip it off, and the bucktail stayed on the pole, and my line came. So there's a bucktail on the side of that somewhere. I'm sure some fisherman was happy. It was brand new. I just bought the damn thing. Well, it was the first time I used it anyway. But yeah, I learned a lesson on that. Don't get too close to the pilings. You know, you figure it would just kind of slide down next to it, but if there's a splinter or a nail or something like that hanging out, it's my luck. I'm going to get caught in the damn thing. But yeah, I haven't caught a rockfish in a while. Trying to think of the last fish I caught, I think, was a spot or a croaker. I caught both that day, I guess. Tiny little fish. I'd like to catch some perch, man. Perch are really good eating. They don't get very big, but you got to catch like 10 or 15 of them for it to be worth cleaning them up. But yeah, I wouldn't mind catching a decent sized rockfish or a bluefish even. I love bluefish. A lot of people don't like bluefish. They say it's oily, but I kind of like bluefish better than rockfish. I have a really good recipe for fish too. If there's anybody out there that likes salmon or any kind of fish, you can do this with any kind of fish. Leave the skin on. You don't necessarily have to, but if you get, we'll just say salmon. Or if you catch a fish, just scale it, leave the skin on, and then fillet it. And make yourself a pan out of like aluminum foil, put the fish in it, and I'll chop up an onion. Sometimes I'll even put portobello mushrooms in there. And Old Bay all over it. Brown sugar all over it. Onion, portobello mushrooms, and then I'll pour a beer into it. Maybe not a full beer, enough to where there's like this much beer in the bottom, and you'll bake it until the beer is gone. so that when you go to take it out of the pan, the skin sticks to the pan. So it's just enough for it to burn down, or burn off. And then, man, I tell you, every fish I've done like that, salmon is the best, but I've done rockfish that way. I've done bluefish that way, and it's always amazing. Caught blue crab, man. I would love to get some crabs. It's been a while. I would love to get some jumbos. Don't see silver or gold dropping anytime soon. Yeah, I don't either. I don't think silver will go below 30 for a while. Especially if they're talking about next year raising a full point or lowering a full point. See what happens when they lower the interest rates? People have more money to spend, and silver automatically jumps up because people are going to be buying it more. I guess that's the thought process behind it. Whoever is the handlers or controllers, because it's all manipulated. That's what I've learned over the years. But gold, man, 26. It's over 2,600. I don't know if it dropped any since then, but it's funny because I was telling her when it was 1,800, like, you need to put some money aside and buy some gold. And she didn't listen. I was like, man, you could be selling a couple ounces right now for $700-800 in profit. I ended up selling a lot of mine because I was making money off of it. I was buying gold at like 1,800 an ounce. That buffalo, I think I paid 19 for. I also paid 2,700 for the Liberty round with the horse on it. But I made some money off of that. Not as much as I should have. I should have brought the stuff to YouTube. I sold a lot of that stuff to a coin shop, and yeah, I didn't get any lube, if you know what I mean. I made good money, but like it could have been way more, and I've been kicking myself ever since then. Get it on the barbecue, yeah, and that's blistering. I do that on the barbecue too. You can also do it in the oven. It tastes good on the oven too, but I've done it on the grill too. You just gotta be careful you don't rip anything. So use a couple pieces of aluminum foil, and you just put the foil out, 2 or 3 pieces, and then roll it up, and then make the corners so that nothing is dripping out, and just roll it up on all 4 sides. And I just make a pan. That way, if it gets burned up, because you really are trying to burn the beer eventually. You want it to get to where there's no beer left, and so the skin sticks to the pan. You just don't even have to worry about the skin. Although I tend to like skin, like chicken, fish. I kind of like eating the skin. Baked potato. I think the skin is the best part of most things. But, everybody's different. I'm going to hit the pillow. All right. I appreciate you stopping in. I got to go cook some deer burgers. So, deer burgers and hot dogs. And actually, I got some sausage, too. I might as well cook some of that. Because I pulled it out. Trying to go through the freezer, man. It's already hunting season again, and I still have stuff from 2 years ago in there, so I'm trying to get through it all. What else would I do with those useless dollars? I hear you. I mean, if you invested in silver in the past couple years or gold, you did good. It's not always like that, though, I know a lot of people that got in at bad times and have never been able to make the money back. So, especially if you got in the 80s when it went up like crazy and you were having FOMO, which is fear of missing out, when it was like $45 an ounce, those people got stuck for a long time. They either lost money or they had to wait years and years and years to break even. So, I mean, shit, they're still not broke even because it's never been over 45 since then. So they're either still waiting for 45 from the 80s. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely a bad time to get in, but personally, I don't feel like silver is gonna fall below 30 ever. I really don't think it can. I think we're kind of past that now. And a lot of those professionals, that's what they say too. Then you got other people that say it's a bad investment and it'll be back below 20. I doubt that's ever going to happen. I don't think we'll ever see it below 20. There's just no way. And then inflation is so bad too, and it's not going to get any better. Dropping the rates will help with inflation, but I was just about to get political. I'm not going to. Never mind. I got to go. I'm not going to start talking about that. I try not to do that on here. And to be honest, I'm not really for any side. But we're definitely living in some crazy times, man. That's all I can say about that. Living in crazy times. It's crazy town out there. By the way, the dude from Crazy Town died. You guys ever hear about the Crazy Town band? You're my sugar. Wait, you're my butterfly. Sugar, baby. Remember that song? That dude passed away. He was on drugs and was sober for a long time. And usually that's when you die, when you're sober for a long time and then decide to get back onto it. Your body needs that much to get high again. And it can't handle it because it's not used to it. I know so many people that have passed away that way. Now you're hungry. Message held for review. Uh-oh. What is that, Big T? 89999999999999999. What does that mean? Why would that be held for review? I don't get it. I think Big T fell asleep. He's got his finger on the got his finger on some buttons. Big T, wake up! I'm just gonna show it. I mean, what's the point of hiding that? I think that's a sleeping man right there. I don't know what else that would mean. even with the lose, still a good investment. Silver over stock market. Yeah. I mean, the stock market's been great too. I tell you, in 2020, I got out of the stock market. I had the woman that was dealing with all my money. I told her, put it all into an account and hold it. Because you don't have to pay for anything if you just have them put it into an account where it's not in the market. It's just being held onto for you. That can be done. So if you think something's going to happen and you got a 401k or anything like that, you can have them pull the money into some kind of fund and it just sits there until you want to put it back into something. And that's what I had her do. Because the stock market did crash hard. And then about a year, I waited about a year. And then when it started coming back up again, I had her get back into it. And I made a pretty good amount of money then. It's all how you play the game, really. And then during the pandemic in 2020 and 2021, you could actually take money out of a 401k or an IRA, which is what I did with actually, I had a 401k and an IRA. I had her kind of hold it. Maybe not the 401k. Maybe I left that alone. I can't remember. Just in case, you know. But if something happens again, some kind of big thing like COVID happens again, as soon as it happens, take all the money you got in your investments and put it into a fund like that and wait for it to drop and then have them get back into it because it will come back up. That's the best, easiest way to make money. And I guarantee you that's what all these rich people do. And I guarantee you, I'm not going to say it, but that could have been done not by accident. Let's just say that. So that the rich could get even richer. I'm not going to go down conspiracy theories and all that stuff, but think about it. Yeah, silver 15. Yeah, that's when I got in. That's when I started. 2019. Actually, it might have been late 2018 is when I started getting into stacking. Because I just had a feeling something was coming. I've been a prepper for a long time too. I was always into conspiracy theories, which are kind of conspiracy fact now when you think about a lot of them. But but yeah, I think no, it might have been 2019 because I bought quite a few rounds, tubes of rounds, and some 10-ounce bars and things like that. That cost me about $18 to $19 an ounce. I wish I still had a bunch of that I could melt down. I got one 10-ounce bar left that I got for probably somewhere around there. Back when you could get 10-ounce bars for like 140. Maybe I'm thinking a 5-ounce. I don't know. I'm not good with math. Man, a 10-ounce bar for 140. That's. I like to see those days again. Let it just drop. Let something happen where it'll just drop real quick for like a month or two, where we can all get in on that and just wait. My philosophy is buy low and sell high. That's what I've tried to do from the beginning. So like right now with it, see, I'm not really a stacker anymore. I don't have the funds to be stacking a whole lot. So what I'd be into is pours and art and like art bars and like things like that. I wouldn't be buying just generic rounds unless I was going to melt it down. But more like collectible pieces and things that go for like the 2021 Morgans, right? I still got a full set of the 2021 Morgans, which graded at 70 go for like $5,000 for 6 coins. I still have one full set. I think I have an extra D too, but that's Scarface, the one I did that video on. She had that scar going down her face. I still have that. Yeah, man, if I had a magic ball, whew, if only. I'm not going to put it past rates dropping and it staying kind of high. Then again, I guess it could go the other way too. I don't think we're going to see gold below 25. I don't know about ever, but the next year or two, I think there's too much coming. There's too many things that the globalists want to have happen right now. And if you've ever studied into any of that stuff, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's too much that's about to happen that they've been pushing for years. And when that stuff happens, it's all going to be going up. How do you think the rich people are going to stay rich when everything else is failing? Think about it. Because that's what they want. They want everything to fail. America is the last country left that are free, if that makes any sense. And they don't like it. They want a one world government. I shouldn't be talking about this stuff on here. Half of y'all probably think I'm crazy, and half of you are like, don't say that. Don't mention it. They're going to lock you up. You know, in the UK and in Canada, they're locking people up for speech. I saw a dude get arrested. He went live and he was on TikTok or something. And he was in the UK. and he had said something on Facebook, and they came to lock him up. He was getting arrested. Like, imagine that. And if you think it's not coming here, you're wrong. I don't know how much time we got, but I'll just say vote wisely. I will just leave it at that. Invisible River Ranch, what's going on? Well, guys, I better get off here. I know everybody's getting hungry, so I'm going to go cook up some deer burger and a couple hot dogs. And I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll definitely be live Thursday. The next auction will either be Friday or the following Tuesday. I haven't decided yet. I'm still waiting to get some more Duff Clay in. I've got a little bit to use right now, but I don't even have enough to do a full flask, so I'm going to have to start mixing it. So I'm going to try that for a while and see what happens, but Wednesday I should have some more in, so we'll see what happens. I'll probably do something anyway, because I've got plenty of other stuff. I don't have to have just pours, so we'll probably do something regardless of whatever happens with that. But so far, that's kind of the plan. That's where my head's at, and I'll be live Thursday regardless, pouring something. And I might even come on Tuesday and keep an eye out for some videos. I'm going to try to start posting some videos here within the next week. And you never know, I might pop one live later tonight. Who knows? Y'all want to do another late night with Cap and just hang out and maybe put up a few things for auction? Maybe just hang out and shoot the shit? I don't know. We'll see. If I do, it'll be like 10 or 11. But anyway, that's what they do in Russia. Yeah, I mean, we're the only ones left that have free speech, really. Lee, no, I'm not able to really hunt. It's not my property. The woods behind me is not my property. You got your Wi-Fi working on the stage? Pretty cool. So let me show you before I go. This was my first silver sandcast ever. This is the original. It was a pin. You can see I glued the back to fill that in. And then this was my first silver sandcast I ever did. Then I messed it up a couple times, so today I wanted to try it again. You can see how it has that hole in the back. I wanted to change that, so I glued the back of that. And you can see on this one, the glue filled it all in. So once I cut this sprue off, it's going to be nice. It's got a little bit more cleanup to do, but I finally accomplished it again. Then I did this on Thursday. We did that live Thursday. That's the lion, obviously. I just cut the sprue off. And then this was an arrowhead. And then I got a couple other pieces that I've had from before. I got a couple channel rounds left, the number 13s of the channel rounds. I got one toned and one not. Then I have a 2 ounce that I put in a tumbler that's nice and shiny. And that's the first of its kind. I still have that up for grabs. That symbol, it's 3.5 ounces. I've been putting that up and nobody's been interested, so I'm either going to put that on some other platforms or melt it. I don't know. I hate to melt it because I love drums, but if it doesn't sell, I got to do something. So that, and then there's 1 or 2 other pieces I can't think of right now. But so far, that's all I have for the next auction, so I'm trying to get some things done by next week. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that. Yes, everyone that's here, thank you. Double tap the screen if you haven't. I would appreciate that. But everybody have a good weekend. If I see you later on tonight, cool. If I see you tomorrow, cool. You never know. I might just pop one like today. I don't usually do lives in the middle of a Saturday, but I was pouring something and wanted to take you guys along with me. So we might do that here and there, not just Thursdays. And yeah, other than that, everybody have a good weekend. If I don't see you, I'll definitely see you next week regardless. And like I always say, I appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. It's deer burger time. Much love and respect to all you. I'll see you soon.